Okay, alrighty. Thank you for coming in, guys. Let's start our meetup. So it's really good to see that a lot of you have turned up today, despite being raining and the weather not being great. But yes, really, really good to see you all here. We have two speakers here today. The very first speaker is Daniel Barr, who is the founder and chairman of BitForward Community and BitForward Ventures. He's looking at the next fintech innovation out there, eyeing out for the next unicorn out there, also promoting the equitable business models through open source systems. So we have Daniel here. Before I give the mic over to Daniel, just a quick reminder, please check in the tablets that are over there in the entrance door. Please make sure that you are checked in. And I also have another registration form going out. You will have to fill in your details. But other than that, feel free to have a couple of beers that's over there, beer and wine, and we have pizza. So help yourself. And without much ado, over to you, Daniel.
So I guess for the camera, it's better to move there, right?
Yeah. Yes. And we are streaming this event as well, so it would be great if we can.
Sure.
All right.
Let's see.
Yeah, open it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's hope it's all right. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming. It's quite unusual to have in-person meetups. I'm really bad with social interactions these days, not through Zoom. So I really appreciate the in-person interactions. So I guess in preparing for today's talk, I wanted to bring back to roots a little bit of why are we even doing crypto? Why do we even care about doing the work that we're doing? And then give a few examples of products that are already live out in the wild and you can use and basically play this cyber native game. And personally, in the last year or two, most of my focus is on venture building and specifically DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. And the kind of examples that are very popular now to apply DAOs are decentralized finance, DeFi. So we'll get into some examples and some tools that I use today to get some insights that I hope that by sharing it will be valuable for other people in the audience. And yeah, also in the move from kind of Web 2 to Web 3, we're basically seeing how the move from being only in person, like today, to completely digital native, social, and mobile is a huge trend that is accelerated with COVID and other stuff. So I guess, yeah, quick background as Sunil gave a bit. So in my titles, I'm founder of BitForward, Holongo farmer. So Holongo is dragon fruits. This is a recent addition to my resume. In the Edmund Hillary Fellowship for Impact Entrepreneurship in New Zealand. And before doing crypto, I used to do quantum electronics and semiconductor engineering in Israel and Asia. And just as a matter of disclaimer and a warning that anything that we're talking about today is not an investment advice. And if you want to buy some crypto-related stuff, it's entirely your own responsibility. But of course, it's always a good time to get into crypto. So it's also your own responsibility not to get into it. So I guess a bit of motivation for cryptopreneurship life and something that personally I draw a lot of inspiration from. Some of you know Naval Ravikant is an investor, entrepreneur from Silicon Valley that has transitioned to focus entirely on crypto these past few years. But he also really cares about well-being. And well-being is a principle that also for me is very important. So something that I ask myself every day, and I try to ask it to anyone that I work with as well, what do you want? What do I actually want? And what is success to me? How do I look at success, right? What am I good at? To keep reflecting and iterating to improve. And where does my natural curiosity take me? Because passion is a little bit like money. It goes up and down, but curiosity is eventually what drives you forward to get through those ups and downs and continue on your successful path. So if you haven't had a chance to check the Naval Ravikant podcast or something, I highly recommend it. It's very clear thinking and articulated on entrepreneurship, and quite a lot of it is crypto related. So I guess one principle is that in doing entrepreneurship in general, and crypto definitely more so, the aim is to to bake a bigger pie together rather than try to fight on yesterday's sandwich crumbs. And the idea here is basically positive sum games instead of zero sum or negative sum, right? There's all the things that we want to create together that haven't yet came into reality. And now in doing entrepreneurship and crypto, we're kind of birthing this new technology, new realm of society. Second is that you keep learning and you'll find a way to contribute to either the industry and find your value, your unique contribution that only you can contribute. You don't have to always be just the best developer. If you are the best developer, good on you, awesome. But actually, quite a lot of time, nerds team also need someone to do community building, someone to do design, someone to do operations. And you can add a lot of value if you have empathy to work with kick-ass nerds on those things that they're missing. So I highly encourage you to keep learning and find the way that you can contribute. Personally, it worked quite well for me. And the other thing is focus. So if you've been in crypto for long enough, you probably heard many times, why do I even need it? You know, my bank works just fine, or whatever other form of skepticism. This database is really slow and inefficient. Ignore crypto skeptics. This is rule number one, just no time to waste on people like this. No offense. It's just kind of like in the late 90s, if someone tells you, why do I need the internet? I have newspaper or whatever it is, right? So it's pretty much like where we're at today with crypto. It's just the early beginning, and we're starting to see it. So I guess enough of the only motivational stuff, and let's consider some of the things from the transition between where we are today with Web 2 transitioning to Web 3. So mobile UX is going to be one of the most important things for crypto, not only crypto, and some of the examples that we see from the world before crypto is WeChat. So anyone here is not familiar with WeChat? Everyone knows what is WeChat? So right now, I think that it's the most end-to-end integrated app in the world. Personally, I think that it's the most impressive engineering effort for a single app that is in itself like a standalone operating system. And Alan Zhang Xiaolong, he's the creator of WeChat. He's as visionary and inspirational as Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs or one of those. And 4 of his product principles, which I highly encourage anyone here that is working in products and is thinking about how someone will end up using them, I highly encourage to read Zhang Xiaolong. He writes really amazing, he actually gives keynotes, but people write out of it really amazing material for specifically product managers. So his 4 core product principles. User is your friend. So basically, this is priority number 1. Technology is for efficiency. So whatever it is that you do, you can optimize for engagement, which is nice games for potentially selling more ads, more time, eyeballs and stuff. But actually remember that the user is your friend. So the technology has to be efficient for your friend to get out of it what they want. KPIs are secondary. So often engineers or generally product teams get overly obsessed with KPIs and wanting to hit them, which is great. But then remember that in the end of the day, you don't predict the market or the future. So you need to take those KPIs as a secondary thing and actually be empathic to what the user has to say and what the users actually want can be a little bit different than your original KPI. And lastly, which is perhaps the most interesting one, is decentralized ecosystem. So it's a little bit interesting to hear from the creator of WeChat, which is highly centralized, that the ecosystem needs to be decentralized. But when he goes into explain what he means, so if you know how WeChat works, you have Xiaochenshu, I think it's called, mini programs that are installed in WeChat. And right now, if you deploy, like if you design those mini programs, whether if you're like a couple of people working out of co-working space in Hangzhou, or you're a multi-million-dollar business that just develops a mini program, you have the same opportunity to get exposure through WeChat. So it means that basically the user experience layer, which is the distribution here, is decentralized. And this principle carries on to crypto products really, really well, because in order to find what products you want to use, you're not going to have one app store that rules them all or something like that. You're actually going to have to find it through whatever information sources that you have, which sometimes might be different to what other people have. And I guess another important thing in crypto is we already know, like in the normal internet, how critical is social media. Like I think PewDiePie has on YouTube more viewers than whether it was BBC or CNN or something like that. So we already know that the power of social media is really important. But in crypto, it's even more so because it's entirely digital native. So you basically have a situation where people in forums or Discord chats or GitHubs, Gitters, whatever it is, they get access to good deals. They get access to products before they are known elsewhere. And basically everything accelerates much faster with this social media backbone on it. And you start also seeing transition to more crypto native social media. Right now, it's still in this transition where, sure, we have some of those like Signal or Telegram that are semi-protected, or you at least choose what are the vulnerabilities that you're exposed to with each of them. But eventually, like we're starting to see more and more transition to crypto social networks. So yeah, some examples that I wanted to give. This is a project that I'm quite involved in, DHedge. So DHedge is a good example for a social product in the decentralized finance space. DHedge is a non-custodial synthetic asset management protocol. It's essentially a marketplace for hedge funds. So if traditionally to run a hedge fund, you would need to engage with lawyers and accountants and all kind of compliance and regulatory issues, with DHedge protocol, you have the ability to deploy a fund. Or of course, it's called a pool and not a fund because we want to make sure that we're not exposed to regulatory risks. But you can deploy a fund or you can contribute to a fund without having any intermediary. Your intermediary is the smart contract, the protocol. And something that is really cool in that is the social experience. So you can see basically on the platform, and I'll switch shortly to actually show the live product. You can see on the platform the leaderboard in that case, where people basically are trading.
You're not showing the right screen.
That's the right screen. I still didn't show the product yet. Yeah, so basically you see the leaderboard, which is unlike traditional hedge fund, which are opaque and you don't know what the managers are doing. Here you basically see the track record, the performance, the historic trade, and you can decide if you make a choice to contribute to that. And you can like get inspired, learn by examples of really good fund managers. And let's see if we can run through quickly. Yeah, you can explore, find details here. You see their total returns. The entire experience is really social and engaging in that, like you see people come, like Alchemy Fund is actually a pretty good fund. Oh, I don't invest with him, but apparently he's performing quite well. So if I want to, for example, share his track record or whatever, just like traditional social media, right? We can do all those things and get all the data that is otherwise on-chain, showing his pool value, recent asset that he's trading, etc. Yeah, let's get back to it. Doesn't present. All right. So another example is Sablia. Anyone knows about Sablia from before? So Sablia is really, really cool tool that it's a very simple concept. Here I just showed my personal Sablia streams. So I have like 1 million wrapped BTC being streamed to me for, I guess it's a bit small, but you can see the dates here is January 2021 until January 2024. So about 1 million wrapped Bitcoins. Don't rob me afterwards. If you know the value, you know the joke. It's actually not real value here. And then 500,000 USDC. And the cases that we see people using this for, this is on a mobile phone. You can see it on a mobile wallet. Whether it's a monthly salary that you would otherwise have an accountant that is, or CFO or whoever it is that takes care of your payroll, or if you have investors that are vesting for a period of time, say 3 years vesting schedule is quite common, or a project budget that is going to run for now a quarter or something like that, and you need to have like regular budget, bonuses that are conditioned on milestones, or in the future, imagine a scenario where you don't pay Airbnb by some intermediary, you basically like start stepping on the car, you stream money, you step off the car, you stop streaming money. So Sablia is essentially streaming money, just like you would use data, you'd use money as you use the application. And yeah, just as one example for a real stream, because my fake streams are not exactly relevant here. I loaded, this is a real example from DHedge. So as I said, I'm working with DHedge. And someone here has vested a quarter of their 3,500 DHT over 1 year. And they haven't withdrawn it yet. We can see basically whenever they would. This is a public, like a public protocol. So you can basically see everything that happens on it. And yeah, that's a real stream. And actually, let's show a little bit more the product, just for context for how it works. So if I want to stream to someone, I basically sign up with my MetaMask. So let's say that I'll sign up with, that's cool. Can pay someone. What's that? Doesn't work. So I can basically like set the token I want to pay, set the amount, set the address, say Vitalik, because he needs money, his welfare case. And I can set the time and start create the stream. So it used to be that crypto products used to be very not user-friendly. And you used to have to be like a power nerd like Waywood that uses command line for everything. But it's no longer the case. You see that everything here is already up to standard with how normal products are. So that's kind of like just to reflect on the progress that we have made so far in the industry. Sometimes we take it for granted because we're in this a little bit of echo chamber, but I think for newcomers, the world is much easier today than it was a few years ago when we started playing. Another area that I want to cover is DAOs. So who has participated in a DAO before? Okay, all right, that's like a fair bit here, like about 30% of the population, very representative of the normal mainstream people, I think, right? So something that everyone is familiar with CoinMarketCap, for example. Do you know that website? If you hold any token, you probably used it to check your number go up or number go down and be happy or sad. So with the kind of booming DAO industry, we started having too many DAOs to be able to track what's happening on them. And then came this entrepreneur from Israel that I've been working with for also the past year, and said, how about we start covering all of this data about DAOs, because it's much more complex data than tokens. It's not just number go up, number go down. You have membership, you have different tiers of permissions, you have proposals, coalitions. It's basically like starting to track politics and governance of institutions on chain. So DeepDAO is really interesting effort. The team is comprised of some product people as well as a data scientist and researcher. One of the lead researcher there is a guy that used to organize all the internal Microsoft data for their teams to understand employee retention and all those kind of things. And he divided everything in DeepDAO into 3 categories of products. Products for 5-second users, which is number go up, number go down, what you go to CMC for. 5 minutes users, which is if you are a DAO member and you want to start understanding a little bit more about the activity of your specific DAO, and I'll go through one example shortly, then you're probably one of the 5 minutes. Or the 5 hours users, which is the analysts and researchers that take the data, they export CSVs and whatever, they tweak it, and they basically do whatever it is that they need. And quite a lot of the people that make investment decisions are ending up doing a lot of this research, and this data is super, super valuable for them. So yeah, this is a screenshot I took from today, actually. So you see that we're nearly $1 billion in AUM under the DAOs that are currently in DeepDAO. This is the first version. Insider information I can give you is that we're about to add more data to it, that it would reach about 60 billion by end of the next couple of months. So we're covering more and more data. And also the member count. So when we started DeepDAO less than a year ago, the member count was about 1,000. Now only on the DAOs that are integrated here, we're at 60,000. And with the DeFi protocols that we're adding, all the DeFi that is under governance, we're looking at more than 1 million addresses. So this, again, like from entrepreneurship or product perspective, when you start seeing this rate of growth, if you ignore it, it's at your peril. Like basically, there's so many opportunities here that you really want to find a way to get a piece of that pie. Yeah, this is the kind of CMC view of DeepDAO. You can see the DAO's ranking, how many USD they have in their treasuries, what's the total in, total out. Again, still the 5-second users. And when we're looking at when we start looking at the inside of one of them, so for example, DHedge, which I mentioned, DHedge is also a DAO, right? It's a DeFi protocol that is run by a DAO. When we go inside, we can start seeing a little bit more granular information. So you see, sure, the overall assets under management, total in, total out and stuff. Number of proposals, so 11 proposals. It's actually a quite low frequency activity. You can even get into the granularity of seeing what passed, what failed, who are the people that voted on it. You can see the, I think, decentralization score somewhere, indices. All kind of indices for data scientists and democracy and governance nerds, which I don't even know exactly what Banjaf index is, but apparently a lot of governance nerds really like to measure Banjaf indexes for DAOs. Yeah, so this is a website that I highly recommend if you're into DAOs. You'll learn a lot from here, and much more data is going to be added to it shortly as well. And let's see how much do I have left. Yeah, I guess another example for a really cool DAO is the LAO. Anyone heard of the LAO before? It's like a VC that is run by a DAO. So essentially there is no one GP and there is no kind of many LPs. Everyone is a GP and an LP at once. And they sign with their wallets, and then they can decide, they can basically make proposals to invest in a deal or not to invest. They have all kind of discussions. I brought some deals to them. Some of them they invested, some they didn't. It was really entertaining. And basically, you can't see it without you being a part of that DAO. So once you'll be a member of the DAO, you'll sign up with your wallet. You'll start seeing the deal flow. You'll start seeing all the discussions that they have there, all these kind of stuff. Governance details, some of them private. I think some are, everything is private. Some things are more public, some things are more private. I guess this pretty much like concludes the talk. We can, if we have a few minutes, we can watch something entertaining. Do we have a few minutes left? Okay, this is like really entertaining and motivational. Oh, I can't, let's see, yeah.
It's essentially flooding our system. Yes,
Exactly.
Is the Fed just going to print money? That's literally what Congress has told us to do. That's
Did you hear it?
To print money and provide liquidity in the financial system. That's how we do it. And then we can also print it.
I say the economy. We're trillions of dollars in debt. The debt could The dollar has lost 99% of its value. There is great uncertainty about the future. At the Federal Reserve, we are strongly committed to using our tools to do whatever we can, and for as long as it takes, to provide some relief and stability to ensure that the recovery will be as strong as possible to limit lasting damage to the economy.
All right. So thanks, everyone. This is pretty much everything. And Sunil, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the wonderful presentation. From streaming money to showing that video, which is really, really powerful, right? The other day, someone was saying that 40% of all the USD in circulation would be printed this year. So it's just mind-blowing what's happening in overall economy. And I think that, you really made the point of everything being very social, especially considering what's happening with Wall Street bets and everything. So thanks again, Daniel, for the very insightful presentation. We'll take a quick 10 to 15 minutes break. We have more pizzas going on. Grab yourself a beer. Let's do some chit chats. For people who wants to go to the toilet, it's right over there. And we'll, start the next session soon.
Guys, waiting.
So we used to think it's like, now we have the massive lot. We have already 30 So right now, what is our quality? One is product. Reacher is not delivering. I'm thinking about replacing the signal. It's not really delivering. Yes, I gave you a list of things I want to change about that app. So you said it like after the conversation with Richard today, here are the going to be agreed on. The next day he told me instead of 1 trial, they want to do like 4 trials, they cannot agree like how to do it, and it's like really need to work on the landing page. Like yeah, work on the landing page, but that's also like app. It doesn't take much. I'm not asking for a lot. We want to solution for I'm a product manager and one piece where you subscribe to the loyalty program. That's all we need. So that's actually one rare education when I actually go and ask it. I think it's great. It can be very Phone notes with Richard. This was and I sent the wireframe. Everything Richard needs. I spoke to him and he's not really like, no, we need to bring it to the team. Then he went to the team. Remember the other day we had this meeting and he said, I get this one. I forget. Lisa needs to progress. This guy had a trademark registration with Terry. That's when I tried to talk to you. And Lisa needs to check with Terry on timeline when the consumer grade app is required. There's no reply on this one. Richard to progress on the below. The firm that is company in China is iOS. Source iOS method. It has to work that. So they go to the latest stage. Everyone just ignored it. That's when I was actually quite excited.
And Tiger was running.
After this, that's after I got no response after being said. That's 10 days ago. Right now, basically, back to the discussion. Exactly. I'm going to actually send someone into the there's no progress in that.
So, these are that little picture.
So let's try to make it better. There's a kind of
I can feel this face.
Then there's no reply.
Có. Vừa bảo.
My last
个店呢，他摸个那个，是吧？看效果好不？好，让我看完个啊，让我看完个。
Speak tomorrow, no reply.
Can you also sign up here?
Tomorrow, no reply.
Just for my own reference.
Evidence.
Do you work here?
Now, we are based in YBF, which is in Clarence Street. Okay. Yeah, we just got the space for the event today here. But yeah, normally based closer to Vineyard Station.
What's your number?
How long have you been into the crypto world?
I've been doing more on and off, but this caught my attention when some startups try to use blockchain to build some idea some to secure financial data, to secure regimen data, to secure healthcare data.
Right.
So that's why this kind of caught my attention.
Awesome. So what do you, what do you do?
I'm a software developer.
All right. Okay.
I'm not really specialized in blockchain to get some idea, to get some direction, some trend about how the market goes at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, and this guy sell his kind of Bitcoin, so he's more crazy than me. So.
Nice. So you are a pro, yeah?
No, just learning. I just started last November.
I think last November. I think you got in the right time.
Yeah,
It did rocketed it.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. 2018, it went down, but
It went down, but if you buy it back then you'll be like.
See, the thing is that it's just about holding, believing in it, right? So the thing is that so we are a wallet, right? So we can see a lot of users who are coming in and we are talking to them through support and everything. So there is a unbelievably high number of people who sold all their crypto and are now trying to get back in. And I think that's the worst place to be because you had these assets at a much lower price, but you lost the faith in it, you sold it off.
The concept of just speculating then it's the wrong thing to do with Bitcoin.
100%. Yeah. I myself, all my initial investments was gone in trading. Speculative trading is the worst. So I think that my strategy is just buying and holding.
Just do like GC, dollar cost averaging.
What is that?
Dollar cost averaging. It's just to buy at a frequent, weekly, monthly, or
exactly.
Just to minimize the risk.
Oh yes. Again, it's also called a systematic investment plans, SIPs. Yeah, but exactly the same thing. Yeah. So essentially putting in a fixed number of amount into it on a periodic plan. But yeah.
So AlphaWallet.
But yeah, our thinking is that more than crypto, as an asset, right? There are way more applications like that. So we did the ticketing for FIFA in 2018 on blockchain, very limited number of things. And we are exploring more use cases like that. So that's where we're coming from. But also we have the wallet that supports most of the native Ethereum-based networks.
Collectibles as well.
Come to this aspect. So we have Devcon NFTs.
So can you know about games called NFTs?
Yeah, so there are heaps of NFTs these days. So there is NBA. So NBA pop shop have been just going crazy these days. They were averaging around $1 million for sales every day, selling NFTs on basketball stars. So yeah, our wallet has much better support for NFTs and also the actions associated with NFTs. So if you are getting football cards and if the key action is around trading them or playing games, right? It would be much easier to intuitively see that on our wallet and do those functions. So yeah,
Have you heard of the Engine wallet?
Engine?
It's also game-based.
No, I haven't checked it out. Can you tell me more about it? Yeah. N-G-I-N.
E-N-G-I-N.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, integrates with Unity.
All right. Okay, Unity.
Engine. So basically, they wrote something to have store the game objects or whatever as an NFT token, and then you can trade in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But this is the wallet is basically where you store it.
Yeah, 100%. So our wallet is also open source, and there are more than 100 forks of our wallet, and some of them are in gaming space, customizing their wallet. So the thing is that these days when people are looking at blockchain, everybody would like to have their own private wallet. It's kind of counterintuitive, but people are like, okay, now there is internet, let me get my browser. So the thing is that there are heaps of demand for wallets, and there are people who are taking it and customizing it for gaming use cases as well. And yeah, I'll take out engine. I have not taken it out just yet.
Okay. How many years have been started?
So it started in 2017. So we've been around for some time. So started just before the last crypto boom, right through the last bear market.
So no, there's Aussie startup.
So Aussie and Singapore.
Aussie?
Yeah. So it's registered in Australia and Singapore.
Do you have a Singapore
So
partner or something?
the thing is that most of the founders used to be in Singapore in 2017, and yeah, all of them moved to Sydney after that.
But they're not Singaporean.
So he registered both in Singapore and Australia.
Any of the partners are Singaporean?
At that point of time, yes, Victor, who is our CEO, used to be in Singapore. Now everybody is in Australia.
Right. I'm from Singapore, so I'm asking whether there's any Singaporean in your company or something.
I lived in Singapore for around 4 years.
4 years.
And we started AlphaWallet in Singapore at the end of 2007.
Okay.
And all of the core team members spent 1.5 years in Singapore. And then we moved back to Australia.
So what? It's quite hard to convince everyone to move to like.
There's several problems. The first thing is the Singapore government is now, we don't really feel welcome because it's very hard to get for example, independent pass for my family.
Okay.
And we all have young children, and we need extra hands to help us to help with our children.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to apply an independent pass for my mom or for my wife's mom.
Oh.
So it's make life difficult, and also it's hard to recruit foreigners. Every foreigner we recruit, they will require us to recruit certain local people.
Yeah.
And they need to be recruited on a full-time basis. For example, we do have contractors in Singapore which we pay 1,200 Singapore dollars per day, and on a yearly basis we pay over 100,000 Singapore dollars to that contractor, but they don't consider that as an employee. What they want is we recruit someone, we pay him $2,000 per month, and they recognize that as an employee.
There's a minimum wage that you need to
Can
provide.
be counted to the full-time employee, but actually we are paying more. So, and another thing is it's hard to recruit the local talent. Because most of the very talented people we met, they rather looking for a Microsoft or Google or those big enterprise. They are not willing to join the startup. So there's many challenges. That's why, and also previously when we decided to move, we saw there's a lot of crypto companies in Singapore. But after we moved, it's actually most of the companies just left their BD marketing community PR people in Singapore, and none of their brand, developers, senior executives, none of them are actually in Singapore. So it's more like a stage. Everyone is doing roadshow on the stage, but not really living there. So after all, we decided to relocate.
So where you're from originally?
From China, mainland China.
Okay. Because from what I know, PR to get a PR in Singapore is much easier than Australia.
But it will take a long time.
It takes a long time in Singapore?
It take for example, we start a business there, and then we can get the entrepreneurial entry pass, or get the normal employment pass, normal EP. And then it will take some progress, you need to be there for several years, and then you can apply the PR.
Correct. But during that time, you can't get family over.
Because we already have a PR in Australia before we moved from Australia to Singapore for this startup.
Okay. What attracts you to Singapore then?
It's because we saw there's so many crypto companies there, and we think it's better to be at a place with more crypto company. But after all, we found out is most of the brain is not there. They only left one hand in Singapore.
Yeah, it's actually a shortage of IT staff after the pandemic. Like it's in the newspaper, like they need more IT people. A lot of big companies are coming in, and then they are like training all the. There's a lack of IT people.
But I enjoy Singapore very much. It's a very safe, very organized place, and also close to all the Asia Pacific places. It's like a hub. Australia is like a hub from everywhere.
Yeah.
But the lucky thing is after this COVID, I think people are more willing to meet online.
Yeah.
So it's not really matter where you live. Are you working in crypto space?
Not yet. But I've,
Why are you interested in this meetup?
this guy bring me along, but I've been wanting to create my own crypto education platform for robotics. That's just like a future dream. There's still a lot of things that I need to learn before I can get to that space. Yeah.
Don't be too humble. How much money do you spend on Bitcoin?
That's not the issue.
So are you working in the crypto space?
I work in the IT industry, but not really.
What industry?
IT.
IT, okay.
Yeah, but I'm not really in crypto yet. But just I recently heard like a lot of people is using the concept of blockchain to build system that can secure personal data. For example, used to secure financial data, used to also like healthcare data. So this kind of brings me in here to see if you guys use similar things.
But those data are also highly private sensitive, and those type of data should never be on chain. Should never be on chain. Should never be put on a blockchain. Because once you put it on the blockchain, everything become public. Even you encrypt it, it's still public.
So like the idea, for example, I heard my friend who's supposed to join a startup, they try to build like some sort of human, like a career resume system, but every data will be secure using blockchain. So all the
you don't need blockchain to secure the data. You just need a digital signature.
Yeah.
Once you sign it, no one can change it. It's already secure.
The whole idea is just like the data cannot be tampered. That's the whole thing. But I don't know. Some Australian startup is trying to use this one to build something. For example, they even try to build this one for all the super fund transaction record management. I don't know where they get this idea from, but they get the funding.
If the information itself is not representing a tradable rights, then there always be better technology than blockchain.
Yeah.
Only if the information is representing certain tradable rights, or the ownership will need to be changed, then using blockchain makes sense. Otherwise, the traditional digital signature attestation technologies, there's so many different technologies can achieve like nothing can be changed, cannot be tampered, cannot be faked. There's already technology can achieve it. But none of those technology can avoid the double spending. That is the key differences. Because on blockchain is like a continuous timeline. So everything is in order, one by one. So that means that you cannot. That means that you cannot do like a double spend the same thing. You cannot change the order. So if your use case don't require this continuous like a timeline, you put everything in a continuous time order, then it's not making any sense to use blockchain. Besides wasting money.
Yeah, that's good one. So when you say there's a like time series of data, well, it makes sense when you want to use this to secure transaction because it goes by time, right?
So if you're looking at all type of information, then only the information representing tradable rights really makes sense to put it on a public ledger like blockchain. And all the other things can be linked with blockchain, but you don't have to put those data to blockchain. For example, your personal information may definitely affect some of your assets, some of your transactions. So that means it's all linked together. But what you have, what you own, like you own $1, one Bitcoin, those things can be put on the blockchain. But like who you are or your personal information, then it's not making sense to put it on the blockchain.
Isn't like Donald Trump want to regulate the financial institution by putting like all the transaction for your Bitcoin with the metadata, so he knows like where this transaction goes. They want to put additional metadata and for Bitcoin transaction.
Those are already public data.
Yeah.
So basically, you cannot. Basically, there's no privacy on blockchain. Everything on blockchain is public. So if anyone tell you I'm going to use blockchain to build a solution which is provide privacy to the people, then you know they are not making any sense. Because blockchain is fundamentally against the privacy. It's no real life identity on it. That means it cannot be linked. Maybe it cannot be linked with your real life identity, but that doesn't mean it's privacy. Everything on it is public.
Yeah, there's one project, right? There's one project. I can't remember what the name is, but it is to have the anonymity, like to be anonymous.
Anonymous, yes, but
yes.
that is not privacy.
Ah, okay.
That is all public. For example, if you have one Bitcoin address, then all the transactions happen with that address are all public.
But isn't like earlier, like last year, I heard about this kidnapping story, and then the people asking, it's not asking for real money for ransom, but rather it's asking for Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin is traceable,
that is because the anonymous, not because it's not traceable. It's definitely 100% traceable.
Yeah.
So that means all the transactions happen with this address can link to all the record back to 10 years ago. Everything, all there. And as soon as they can identify something, maybe from your IP address, or even if you transfer money to some central exchange where you did the KYC or anything, can be linked with your real world identity, then everything is public.
so Bitcoin is good for money laundering.
For money laundering, you need to use a specific technique to do it, which is try to cut off the real world identity with your Bitcoin wallet address. That means that you should never done any transaction with any centralized services. Then you can keep anonymous.
It's very good information. I guess you're gonna have a second session for meeting. So successfully.
Yeah, we will come back and we'll start.
You want to share some maybe a little bit about AlphaWallet?
Yep.
Like currently there's more than 200 forks. And there's more than 20 live mobile application, which is based on the AlphaWallet's code base, live in the market. And there's millions of people using all kinds of AlphaWallet forks together with AlphaWallet. Different businesses using it for their own purpose, build their own mobile applications, web applications.
Right. Yep. Do you know this? Do you wanna speak to it or you gonna?
I can give a very short, like 1 or 2 minutes, just an introduction about AlphaWallet, what actually they are building.
Okay, yeah. I'll let you speak for really quickly, and then I'll take over.
So I see many of them is looking for building something.
Awesome. Yep. Awesome.
So I didn't get a name.
Really, you're ready, right?
I didn't get a name.
Victor.
Victor.
Chang.
Hey guys. shall we move on to our next session for the day? Yeah, thank you, Vevu. So yeah, it looks like the networks are coming in. There's a lot of chit chat. It's really great. So let's move on to our next next session. So today we'll be talking about how we can tackle gas prices, which is one of the biggest problems up there, right? Don't get excited. We are going into a more developer-oriented approach, but yeah, it will give you some insights. Okay. Before I start the chat, I'll give the mic to Victor to speak a couple of things about AlphaWallet for people who are new and doesn't know about our company. So.
Hi everyone. I didn't prepare for this because previously I really didn't expect there will be such many people attend, and I'm expect maybe it's all old face. Since today there's many new faces, maybe it was to introduce AlphaWallet and our company Stormbird. So we started from Singapore at the end of 2017. The company name is called Stormbird. And now Stormbird already be transformed into a venture studio. So under the venture studio, we have several different products. AlphaWallet is one of the products. It's a fully open source, Ethereum-based blockchain wallet mobile application. And currently there's more than 200 forks on the GitHub. So that means it's fully open source, even including the UI. So that, and also it's under the MIT license. Anyone can use it for a private use case or public use case, business use case, everything is free. So you can use it for free. So that's why there's over 200 forks. And also there's more than 20 live mobile application in the market in Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, which is basically based on AlphaWallet's code base. And put together, there's millions of users globally using AlphaWallet for using the services which is built on the Ethereum-based networks like Ethereum Mainnet, XDAI, POA, Huobi Chain, Binance, the Smart Chain, and there's many other EVM-based network. So that is AlphaWallet. And on the same time, we also working on a technology framework called the TokenScript. That is basically for doing tokenization. And that is also why there's many business love to use our solution together with AlphaWallet to build their own mobile blockchain application for different kind of use cases. And in the past 3 years, we have done like more than 30 different proof of concepts from automobile industry. We did the car ownership token together with a US-based electronic car company called Karma. And we did 2 times the events, blockchain-based events tickets. One is with FIFA back in 2018 for the FIFA World Cup, 50 tokenized the 50 VIP tickets, real tickets. We done it with the FIFA official. And also for the last year, we actually about to launch the Euro 2020 VIP tickets, 20,000 VIP tickets, but because the events got canceled, but everything already live. You can even search for the tickets application in Apple Store. But because the event's canceled, so it's, no one is using it. And also there's many other POCs like car entry, door entry token, and voucher token, gift card, and many other things. And besides the AlphaWallet and TokenScript, we also have several other projects, which is some of them is also fully owned by ourselves, by Stormbird, and some of them is like a partnership with other companies. There's one in Australia. I think they are doing quite well. It's called Coin. Their website is coin.world. And that is the project carry on together with Buttercut. I think they claim they are the largest barter trade platform in the world. And currently Coin is signing up more than 1,000 merchants per month, more than 1,000 new merchants per month. So in terms of this number, they are doing quite well. And also we did one DeFi project called the Cofix. And within 1 month of launch, the trading volume on that DeFi project, because it's a decentralized exchange, the trading volume on that DeFi project is over $1 billion. And there's only 2 trading pairs. So I consider that one is also as a good success. And we are also going to move on with a new project where we have in plan, like Alpha Market, Alpha Trader, and also some other projects. So that is who we are, Stormbird AlphaWallet. Yeah. So I leave the mic to my co-founder, CTO, Wei Wu.
Yes, thank you, Victor. I'll do a quick intro to Wei Wu's topic. How many of you are normal users of Ethereum? Yep. We'll go through this question again. So I think that when I say that gas prices are one of the most heartbreaking things in the Ethereum ecosystem, probably most of you can understand. Let me show you how average gas prices have been going there. And if you look at these spikes there, right? It's times when the network really gets congested and you can do barely anything on it. This was when CryptoKitties happened, for the folks who had been in there. And as we are coming in, we are seeing more of those spikes. Okay, so that's the average price in GUI for gas. And and this is the average gas price collected. And if you're thinking that in 2020, it's going really up. And if you're a miner, really good news for you. You have a lot of opportunity to make more money. But for a consumer, this is the chart that we are looking up. And when we are seeing all those gas prices going up, compound it, multiply it with this chart, and that's where you get scenarios like these, where I paid $108 for a failed transaction. And oh man, being a small fish here, it's literally, I was crying on that day. So today, one thing, there are so many different, views on Ethereum system out there. One thing that we can all agree is that gas prices are way too high. Now, what can we do to address gas prices, right? For a user, there's very little that you can do. One thing that you can do is to research, proactively to make sure that whatever gas price that you are putting into your transaction is the right amount. Don't go blindly by what MetaMask suggests you. Check out ETH gas station or Gas Now sites like that to make sure that you are putting in the right amount of money for the right amount of transaction. You might need a high-speed transaction, spend more money. If you can wait for some time, go for the less amount of money. But that requires some proactive management from your side. The second thing is to wait for the time when the gas prices go low. And with the DeFi taking over the Ethereum ecosystem right now, we can see a pattern where between 7 to 9 a.m. Sydney time is the lowest when we can make a transaction. For simple transaction, that's where you normally find the lowest amount of gas price. And the third thing, which is more sophisticated, is to use gas tokens. So there is Chi token from one end. There is gas token, which is a solution which is fairly more complicated. If you are a developer, you can use it and burn these tokens at the end of your transaction to claim more gas back. So it is something that users can do, but it's not again accessible for all the users who would be using it through a mobile wallet. And not all dApps, DeFis allow you to do that as well. So then it really comes back to the developers on what we could do to create applications that use less gas fees. And one of the promising way ahead is to use the layer 2 scaling solutions. So there is XDAI, Loopring, NIA, different protocols working on the same problem, but trying to reduce and scale the gas fee associated with it. But it will take a few time, and gas fee are going to be with us for some time before all these technologies are going to be proved out. The other alternatives, that's what we are going to talk about today. So the other alternatives is to reduce the mainnet interaction. You don't have to put everything on blockchain. There are ways to take out the transactions out of the main chain and leverage more use cases, more computational applications that leverage the same cryptographic proofs and protocols, but let's take it off chain. And to speak more about that, I invite our CTO and co-founder Weiwu Zhang.
Thank you very much. Before I think it's useless anyway. Doesn't really matter. I just talk very loudly.
No, we have live stream. Otherwise, the online people won't be able to listen.
Okay, to take care of But anyway, so a few questions before I got started. I added this slide in last minute because I realized we have a lot of new faces here. I wasn't expecting that, but that's very good news. So I just want to get better understanding of who am I talking to. So please, everybody who has at least one ETH or at least some ETH, raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, I'm going to ask you why. So please raise your hand if you have at least one ETH. Okay. Very briefly, can someone tell me why you don't have ETH? For example, this gentleman.
One ETH in crypto?
Yeah, maybe one ETH. Maybe, yeah, a little bit.
Well, I'm in technology for 25 years, but crypto is something I
interested in and didn't come here. Very good, very good. Now I know who I'm talking to. You just want to understand what's going on here. And ETH is something good, good. So please, those who have one ETH, keep your hands raised. Please. And those who have ETH but no other token, you can put your hand down. Okay, everybody has some other tokens too. So I'm going more and more extreme, okay? In the beginning, it was like everybody. Now we have only a few. Who didn't participate any DeFi project, yield farming or loan or anything? Those who didn't participate DeFi, please put your hands down. Everybody keep your hands up. So I see most people who have ETH participated DeFi, and we are going more and more extreme. Okay, who of you believe in Illuminati and that COVID is not real, but a measurement to control the society?
So you want these people to put hands down?
Only one. Thank you very much. We are going to have a party after this, okay? Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Now I know who I'm talking to. I will try to speak accordingly. And here, what is attestation? So blockchain was based on cryptography. And the basics of cryptography, one very basic use case of cryptography is cryptographic signature, which means someone creates a cryptographic signature to attest something. So let's say typically I create a cryptographic signature attesting that this message is created by me and nobody else, only me. And it has this characteristic called non-repudiation, meaning that if you create such a cryptographic signature, then you cannot say, I didn't do that. And this is really, really good for cryptocurrency. Think about it. If you cannot deny you paid someone, let's say you write a message that I'm willing to pay you this, and this is the fact, then it's the equivalent of money, because you cannot repudiate. You cannot say that I didn't want to pay you because there was a cryptographic signature there. That's basically attestation. However, it has had a problem, the double spending problem, meaning that you could have promised two people the same money. Therefore, the promise is nothing. It's non-repudiation promise, but you promise twice. Your problem, but other people cannot hold it as money. That's why blockchain was created in the first place. Blockchain was created to solve double spending problem, not to solve non-repudiation problem, which was solved even before blockchain through cryptographic attestation. So once we have blockchain, blockchain works by connecting multiple computers in the world by disinterested parties to evaluate whether or not your promise is singular or you have promised twice. That's how blockchain works. Blockchain works to prevent double spending. That's how it works. Now we look at attestation. That's the basic element of blockchain. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Now, the gas is very expensive because you need to utilize computing resources through proof of work by outsourcing this to a lot of computers in the world to prove you didn't double promise. That's why the gas is so expensive. But if you look at the transactions happening on the blockchain, not all of them requires double spending prevention. Not all of them. So one example that comes to my mind easily is ERC20 approval. If you haven't played with it, the idea is you approve some third party to access your account as that third party is your account holder. That's approval access. And that is actually a pretty significant amount of blockchain transaction is that the transaction is about approval. That approval doesn't require double spending check because it doesn't matter if you approve it 100 times, 1,000 times. If you approve your account to be accessed by other people once or 100 times, doesn't matter. You cannot say the same to money. If you approve the money to be spent by someone, actually you give money to someone, then you can only give it once because your balance is reduced. But if it's approval for somebody to spend your money, then that spending doesn't happen until that someone spend your money. So the approval doesn't have to be on the blockchain, but it's on the blockchain and it's consuming gas. So the point is some transactions does not require double spending, but is consuming blockchain's double spending capacity. Now let's go to the, okay, come back, sorry. So, one example of this, actually, let's go to that page. Sorry, just pick up there, okay, sorry. So one example of such transaction which doesn't require double spending prevention is Devcon ticket. Devcon, if you haven't been there, it's the biggest blockchain event in the world. Everybody wants to go there because they want to know what's more important what's going to conquer the world in next year by observing, the speeches there and the participants there. It's very important. It didn't happen in last year because COVID, but it's the most important thing in the blockchain world. And Devcon has been working with us on creating blockchain tickets for their accessing their venues and information. The reason they work with us is because they cannot issue these tickets on the blockchain as tokens. They want to because it serves purposes. It helps them to provide ticket holders with special access to smart contracts, and it allows tickets to be traded in the future. But they cannot do so because one blockchain ticket, Devcon ticket, is a few $100s. One transaction is $100. That just doesn't make sense for them to make transactions to issue tickets on the blockchain. However, observe this case. The fact that Devcon issues a ticket is not something you want double spend prevention. Devcon being the authority of this game, they can issue as many tickets as they want. If they have a better hotel, bigger venue, they can double the amount of people who can participate in the event. So we're not really saying that, okay, Devcon, you can only issue 300 tickets. And if you issue more than that, we are going to punish you. That's not the game rule. Devcon can issue tickets. That's how it works. So as we work with them, borrowing our experience with FIFA tickets and other projects, we realize and we explained that Devcon ticket doesn't have to issuing of Devcon ticket doesn't have to be on the blockchain. It can be a blockchain ticket, but it doesn't have to be issued on the blockchain. There's no gas involved. So what happens is Devcon would issue tickets off-chain by providing attestation, which will be used in the future transactions that involves Devcon tickets. Half off-chain, half off-chain. This is the way it works. So what it achieved here is, you don't have to read this process, it's complicated, but let's go to the advantages. So what it does is, by issuing blockchain tickets, Devcon tickets off-chain, it enables the holder of such attestations to access websites that requires Devcon ticket holder, such as, for example, discounted hotel booking. Because you've got a ticket holder, you get discount hotel booking, or voting for the next speaker, which doesn't have to be on the blockchain, because it doesn't really matter if you vote twice or 100 times. The counting of the vote is where double spending is needed. The voting itself doesn't matter. You can vote as many times as you want. Only one will be counted. And the claim and redeem is the process where you can get a blockchain token on the smart contract, which is useful if you want to transfer to someone, and maybe games. Just an idea put there. Okay. So let's go next. The other example where we can leverage on, oh, by the way, if you go to Devcon, next Devcon, you are going to be using Devcon tickets issued by our technology. And it's not really surprising. Victor has been really modest. We are actually the biggest open source wallet in the world. I'm pretty confident about that. So, send crypto using email. This is another case where we can use attestation, but it's more complicated than Devcon. So it takes a bit to explain, but not too complicated for us to understand after this number of years. So Alice, I see he wants to start before Alice. We got this idea from PayPal. PayPal experienced the explosion of growth after they introduced the pay by email. So when you pay by email, you pay someone and the other person will not have the money, and you don't lose the money. The other person will not have the money until they sign up with the email address, which we think is really helpful for bootstrapping blockchain stuff. But we want to do it in a decentralized way because PayPal is a company, they can do everything they like. In the blockchain space, we don't want to say that, okay, if Alice sends money to Bob by email address, Bob has to be a customer first. We don't want to say that. So it has to be decentralized. So what we do is Alice sends a check, which is a attestation signed by her, saying that I'm willing to, it's a promise to pay. I'm willing to pay 1 ETH to Bob, identified by this email address. And Bob is going to get this email address. It's important to notice that here, Alice doesn't know Bob's Ethereum address. The entire idea is you are able to send money to someone without he even create a Ethereum address. And Bob will create an Ethereum address in order to redeem the money and Ethereum address. And Bob goes to an email tester to get an email attestation. This is a decentralized component. Many people can play the role of email tester as long as they are trustworthy in verifying user's email address. And once Bob gets email attestation, which attests that Bob's email address, the owner of the email address, is also the owner of a Ethereum address, Bob is able to redeem 1 ETH from Alice wallet, supposedly a contract, Alice wallet, using the email attestation and the check. So the beauty of this project, of this idea is that Alice doesn't know Bob's email Ethereum address. Alice doesn't even require Bob to have Ethereum address to start with. And the entire amount of transaction is 1. Before this protocol, Alice has to know Bob's email Ethereum address and send 1 transaction. With this protocol, Alice still send Bob use 1 redeem transaction where the money change hand, where double spending prevention is needed, but it's still 1 transaction. We don't really increase the number of transactions, therefore reducing gas costs, but provided the flexibility. The entire protocol is available on GitHub, but I didn't provide a link. You can get it from Victor, and it's actually easy to search for it. Because it's quite complex, but ultimately, after Devcon, this will be the next product where we apply the attestation technology. Now, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next. Oh, yes, of course. So identity. So that's another use case of attestation. Say some ICO projects are very risky and only requires people to be a mature developer, or maybe a smart contract sells alcohol, which requires you to prove you are more than 18 years old. Identity is an attestation where the user can prove the transaction is started by someone who's more than 18 years old, or being sophisticated enough to invest in some property, some investments. Governance is another example where, identity, that means when you transact with identity, you pay one transaction fee. But when you acquire that identity attestation, it's off the chain where you don't pay any transaction fee. Governance, same thing. If you vote for governance, only the tally of the vote requires double spending prevention. The vote itself doesn't. So what you could do is to vote off-chain and then let some vote collector to collect this vote and do this on the governance token. That would be one transaction. But if you suspect that the vote collector might omit some vote, then that would require two transactions, but still a lot better than everybody sending a transaction and spending $100 just to make a vote. Off-chain logic, what is it about? This about? Oh yes, industrial specific. You can invent a lot of off-chain logics if you look at how every industry works. So one example is, let's say we use blockchain technology to control, to solve the prescription medicine problem. So one aspect of the problem is doctors issue too many prescriptions. Let's not solve that because doctors are authorized to do that. You can only punish that afterwards. But the other thing is patients using Redeem gets more prescription medicine than what is allowed by the prescription. So let's say doctors issue prescription because there's no limit on how many prescriptions doctors can issue. That would be inhuman if you limit how many prescriptions doctors can issue. So because there's no limit on that, we don't need to do double spending prevention on doctors issuing prescription. But we need to do double spending prevention on patients redeeming medicine, getting medicine through that prescription. So what you see is in this very use case, half of the logic is off-chain, which is doctors issuing prescription. Half of that should go on-chain, and that's some transaction reduction mechanism. Authorization. That authorization, let's say, I just gave an example of ERC-20 approval, but I can give you another example. Let's say I have a company clerk who is able to withdraw $200 per day from the company's account to buy office supply and stuff. That can be an authorization. But when you authorize your clerk to do so, when you authorize that, there's no need for double spending prevention. You can authorize your clerk to spend $2,000 100 times a day. You can authorize it 1,000 times a day. It doesn't change the authorization. You authorize her to do that. So she only needs, so that doesn't have to go to the blockchain. You can use attestation. And when your clerk goes to the blockchain and do a transaction using that one, that's where blockchain is involved. Before that, it can go off-chain. And the privilege tokens, for example, if a club membership, let's say you are American Express user and you get discount in purchases, only the purchases happen on the blockchain, and authorization that you are a club member doesn't have to be on-chain. So this is what we provide to the community. That how about instead of reducing transaction, we do that too. Like many people are working on that. We put a lot of logic off the chain until we really need blockchain, and that's basically the gist of it. Questions? Thank you, everybody. If there's no questions, either I'm not making myself clear or you didn't have drink enough.
Any questions, anyone? If that's not the case, if you think that you find this exciting and you would like to be part of the initial test group to test out what we are doing for Devcon, please scan the QR code and sign up. We are running more user tests, on Devcon, on DeFi use cases, and on improving our wallet. So if you are keen, sign up, submit your email. We'll be back to you, and we'll do more testing together, and it will be a great time for you to know the technology, what's happening, and it would be great feedback for us so that we can improve the product together. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. Really appreciate it. We'll have more events on the line and hope to see you again. Have a great night, and hopefully everybody has checked in out in the in the lobby. And I believe that everybody have checked in on the paper. That's it for admin housekeeping. But otherwise, have a great night. Thank you so much for coming. Cheers.
Does that actually mean we can save Git gas fees when we're dealing like MetaMask and all that stuff, or is that something you guys are working on right now?
Oh, so attestation technology is really old. What we're trying to do is to do the SDK to make developers easy use that with relative ease. Because technology is not really invention, it has been a very long time. So we make the SDK available. So once the SDK is available, it's up to the DApp and the wallet to support it. So once the DApp and the wallet supports it, a lot of transactions doesn't have to happen on the blockchain. But we are really, this group is a kind of evangelist group. We're just taking things a bit in advance. So there's no attestation using use cases. The first one is Devcon, and they haven't started selling tickets. So when you start selling tickets, when you get the first Devcon ticket, that's the moment when you have the attestation. So use case will be happening and I think we will be giving SDK after the use case, not before. Because SDK, you can have a space to test SDK. So this is really like a forward-looking thing. So it doesn't help if you have immediately. Cheap as well, but they're not quite.
When he's at work, she works for